He's not liked by Zidane, or thought of as a top-class player by Zidane. He can't get into the side. So at some point, he has to say, well, I've earned enough money. I want to go and finish my career on a high. I want to be thought of as a great player come the end of my career, rather than it peter out. So he's got to take that pay cut, and he's got to go to a club where he's going to play week in, week out, and prove again that he can be a world-class player, because the last 2-3 years, that's not been the case.
What are you doing in that situation? You taking the pay cut?
Yes, I would, because
really?
In the end, in our time, the money wasn't so great, so you wouldn't be able to do that. But when you're earning £17 million a year, and you have been for the last 3 or 4 years, you saying to me that you haven't got enough money to just take maybe a 50% pay cut for the last 3 or 4 years of your career.
Very well. All right, the big question now is, where does he go next? He could be, in a manner of speaking, going home to Spurs. Here's what Mauricio Pochettino had to say when asked.
Earlier today, Zidane actually came out to say that Gareth Bale was on the verge of a move away from the club to another side. Would you say that Spurs are interested in Bale, and is he the kind of player that you are going for in terms of reaching the levels of Liverpool and Manchester City?
Yes, I saw in the media, but I don't know which club is working trying to sign him. At the moment, I don't have any information from my chairman. I don't know if we are or it's another club. You know, it's not my shop. It's the job of my chairman that is trying to build the best squad as possible.
So here's a look then at the odds for where Gareth Bale will play his next season of football. And as you see, Real Madrid still the leader in the clubhouse according to the bookmakers. Let's start with Spurs. We obviously just heard Pochettino talking about it there. Bale back to Spurs. Stuart, what would your reaction be?
Again, he'd have to take a pay cut because Spurs aren't the biggest payers. I think he'd be welcomed back by the fans. He would fit in quite well with their side. He'd give them that little bit of pace and that ability to run in behind. He could go and play up front alongside Harry Kane. He can go and play in wide areas. He could play in the role behind. So it's a club that would suit him, but I don't think they're going to pay the money that he would want.
Spurs aren't big spenders. If you have a limited amount to spend, is this how you're improving Spurs?
I think Spurs can be big spenders. Listen, Spurs are spending.
This big?
Well, we'll see. But let's also remind ourselves that Spurs have barely spent any money for the last 2 seasons. So maybe...
Just bought Ndombele for quite a bit of money.
Well,
that's one big sum.
Maybe they have enough to convince Gareth Bale to come back. But at the same time, I don't see that as being plausible. I don't see that as being a good fit. I think the issue is Gareth Bale, not only the amount he commands, but his injury record. And to come back to the Premier League, where the game's faster, far more physical, do you trust him to stand up for an entire season? I think no right now. Looking at that list, I'd almost have that list upside down. I think PSG the more likely the destinations, where I don't think he'd be tested as much and maybe can stand up to the demands a bit better.
Shaka, you prefer PSG, Stuart?
I think Bayern would be a good fit for him. I think he would suit the Bundesliga. I think he'd be given a chance to play. I think he'd do a good job for them, and he could rebuild his career. He's got 3 or 4 years left of being a top-class player. Go and play somewhere where you're going to play week in, week out.